This is Tecker 901, episode 85, Geotagging Photos. Hi, I'm Plasmeier, and today we're going to show you how you can geotag your photos. Basically, put your photos on the map automatically using GPS. We've talked about Flickr in the past, and Flickr is a real good photo sharing website that supports geotagging. So you can go on there and you can see a map and then place your photos on the map. You can do that manually, but what if you want to do it automatically? This is an AMOD 3080 GeoPS geotagger. I got it for about $70, and it works with any camera, from point and shoots to cell phone cameras, anything. So no worry about compatibility. It takes 3 AAA batteries, lasts about 20 hours on a charge when on. And what it does is when it's on, it'll just take a snapshot of where you are. I'm going to just turn it on here. A snapshot about every few seconds. You can set how many seconds, between 1 and 5 seconds. And then when you go on a computer, it will combine all those different snapshots into a trail. And how it matches your photos when you use special software, which we'll show you how. It'll look at the timestamp that the photo was taken, and then look at the trail to see what the nearest timestamp is, and then we'll take the GPS coordinates that were recorded at that particular timestamp on the device and attach them to the photo, so that way in a special application like Jet Photo Studio you can see it on a map, or you can share it with people on Flickr and will be on the map as well. So the first thing you have to do is turn it on, and it takes about 2 or 3 minutes to get a signal, and when it does, the light will start flashing, and then you'll want to keep it somewhere conspicuous so that it gets a good clear signal. It works best in moving vehicles. So on a train, I've actually used it on a plane once. If you put it on the window, if you just keep it on the tray table, it won't work, but if you put it in the window, hang it from the window, it'll actually record, and I'll put some of these trails in the video feed, so if you're watching you can see those now. When walking, it kind of zigzags, doesn't make the best visual trail, but it will pretty much accurately geotag your photos within 10 or 15 feet, and you can always, of course, adjust it manually. One thing you'll want to do is make sure that your camera has the exact proper time down to the second. What I do is I go on time.gov, and then I set the time a minute ahead on the camera, and then I'll keep refreshing until that time appears on time.gov, and then I'll push enter exactly as the time changes. The reason you want the time to be exactly accurate is because the GPS tagger will actually receive the correct time in milliseconds from the satellites. So if the times are correct, the photos will line up exactly. If you're off by a minute or two, then especially in a moving vehicle, you can get some really bad results. So you want to make sure that you set your camera time exactly right. So the next step while this is on is just go around and take pictures. Alright, we're here in media, have our geotagger, it's been on and following us along the trip, and now we're just going to go around and take some pictures. Now remember, this is all being tracked where we're going with the GPS tagger that I'm carrying. We're done taking pictures. We're going to go home and show you what you have to do on your computer. Alright, now that we're back in front of a computer, we're going to show you the steps to download the pictures and geotag them. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the geotagger and connect it to computer via USB. And then what it'll do is it'll show up as a hard drive. This GPS device is actually nice in that it shows up as a hard drive. Works Windows, Mac, anything, because it's just a hard drive. Take this GPS file, which is a text document, about 3 megabytes, and put it on a location. I like putting it on the desktop. So now that we have that, we can close it and disconnect the GPS device. So what I've done right now is I've transferred all the photos from the 2 cameras that we've taken. Yes, he works perfectly fine with more than 1 camera, to the computer, and they're in a folder on my computer. As we mentioned in the digital photography workflow episode, there are a bunch of ways you can transfer photos to your computer. So cable, transfer via cards, so whatever your choices are. So now all the photos that I took today are in this folder, and now it is time to geotag them. So we have 2 options. We're going to show you both options. The first is the AMOD GPS tracker application, which came with the device, and it's a real very basic application, no additional cost. So that is nice. You import the GPS log first. So I pick the log, hit OK, then I import the photos and select all of the photos that we've taken, and then hit OK. And now it's going to go through and put in each photo. Now this takes a little bit. So you see here it's going one by one. Importing the files is going to take some time. So once it's done importing, we're going to select all of them. You have to go here, hold down the Shift key, select all, and then you want to go Save Tags Photos, and go to the folder, and then it will actually, I'm not going to overwrite it, I'm going to put them in a new folder called Located. So save it in that folder, hit OK, and now again it's going to take a few minutes to save out. So the one thing this application will do is it'll put display on Google Maps. So if we hit this button, we see that a push pin is everywhere that we took a photo. So we zoom in here, we could click on a particular push pin, and it will show us that particular photo. But it will not show you a trail of where the GPS went. And this is about all the options that this program has. So the advantage to using this program is that you now have the files which are geotagged. So we can open up a web browser and upload our photos to a web sharing site like Flickr. I happen to like Flickr for geotagging, and about half my photos on Flickr have been geotagged. So we go here, open up the located folder, select all of our pictures, and we're going to upload them to Flickr. So while that's uploading, we can take a look at my map, and this is a map that of stuff that I've taken in New York City. So if we zoom in here, you see each one of these little dots is a picture that I took in New York City, and we click on it, and it will show that particular picture. And the beauty of this is that anyone can see these photos if they go to flickr.com/photos/your username/map, and anyone can see your map, as well as on a particular picture page. If you look down here in the sidebar, it'll tell you taken in and then the neighborhood, and you can click map, and it will bring up a little map where you can see where that particular photo was taken. In addition to the AMOD program, there's also Jet Photo Studio, and Jet Photo Studio is $25. There's a free trial available, but I think it's worth it for the $25 because it's also a photo manager. So the basic application pretty much just adds the geotagging code to your photos, shows them in a very rudimentary Google map, and then you can take the geotagged files and upload it to Flickr. But if you want to keep them on your computer, then Jet Photo Studio is the best choice for you because you can have various different albums or something. I'm just going to open the media trip as a album. So once the photos are imported, we can go ahead and geotag them. So if we go locate photo with GPS, we can import the log from file, And you do have to go down here and change it to NEMA 0813 if you are going to use the AMOD GPS device. And we're going to select our log file. And then we're going to hit locate photos after selecting the proper time zone, in our case New York, and locate photos. And now it's going to go through and locate the photos, and this is going to take a minute or two. So now JetPhoto has gone through and tagged all our photos. So if we click on a particular one, you can see here it has on the map where that particular photo was taken. And actually, if we the really cool part about this is that it will put together a Google Earth track. So if we click here, we can go to Google Earth, and then it will put both the track and the photos in a Google Earth map. For Google Earth, in an earlier episode, you can go to 911.tecker.net to see more about Google Earth. Alright, so you see here the track in yellow is the actual track that we were driving along in. So if you actually see here, the track is in one direction and the other direction. It's most accurate in a moving vehicle. So you can see here, drove around. Sometimes when you're stopped, it'll do like these little fringes in the track. So the track is not perfect. And like here, you can see when we went in the building, it sort of broke off here, and it skipped a little bit and jumped up there. But it's fairly accurate. You can see we walked down here and then took train along there. And then here is where we got out and walked. And as you see, it's the least accurate when you're walking. But you can fairly pretty much see how we walked along here. Sometimes it's off by 10 or 15 feet. And sometimes here, like when you're inside, it'll get really crazy, like it is over here. Really messed up. But now if you click on a photo, for example, this one in front of the courthouse, you can see that's the photo we took. So because of the geotagger, it automatically associated the location where that picture was taken and placed it on a map for us. This is really the handiness of geotagging. And let me show you a few other tracks that we did besides the one from today in New York City 2 weeks ago. There we go, Port Authority bus terminal. And as Google, the cool part about that it works in Google Earth is that, like we talked about in the Google Earth episode, you have the 3D buildings that'll come in, and it's really, adds a lot. The little blue dots that'll appear on Google Earth, those are Panoramio, which is a Google site that you can upload similar to Flickr, and if you upload your geotag photos there, after a review process that takes about a month, your photos may appear on Google Earth for anyone to see at that particular location. Another cool trip that I went on is the cruise trip that I did over spring break this year. And this one actually is bringing the trail up. So if you actually see this yellow trail, this is one that I took in the airplane. I'm not sure if you're allowed to do a trail in an airplane, so you probably should check on that beforehand. But if we zoom in here, you can see, follow the little yellow trail of the airplane on the way back. And you see it curving here and landing in the airport, and then driving over to the terminal right there. If we go 3D, I don't think the line shows up in 3D. No, unfortunately, the Google Earth ignores the altitude component of the GPS, I believe, which is disappointing. But I mean, you kind of get the point. How the flight to San Juan went over New Jersey, and then it went over the ocean a lot. Let me zoom out here and see if it went fairly straight. You know, it's interesting to see. This is the trail here where I landed, and then that is taking off. And if we zoom in to San Juan, I sort of learned over this cruise trip about all the different tips for the GPS. Like as I mentioned in the beginning, in the airplane it only works if it's in the window, and the cruise ship I found a little door that I hung it on the door handle of, and towards the end I was getting tracks of everything, and you know, figuring out that the batteries lasted 20 hours. You know, it's all something you figure out. But if we zoom in here to San Juan, we see the time I spent in San Juan, and my photos aren't in this particular file. Again, you can see how, like, the car, when you're in the car it works really well, but when you're walking it kind of is jagged and maybe screws up a little there. But it's still fairly handy, and when you do place the photos on the map it'll actually be fairly correct. We see here the ship on the ship and how the ship sailed out of the harbor. See here, like, this is at this particular island, the ship came in like that, came into the island and then went out, went around. So it's pretty cool to follow the track. It's straight, like the map that they'll give you in the brochure actually would show the boat going like that, sort of curved, but it's not. It's straight through, you know, to save fuel. So you can see the portions here, the day at sea, particular island, and then all the photos, in addition to having this nice track, if I go on Flickr and go to that particular photo set of the cruise, you just click on a particular day, then the particular photo, you can see exactly, or we can actually go on a map for this particular day, and you can see all the pictures are at the particular point where they were taken. I think it's quite cool. The one thing about GPS and geotagging photos is it's still fairly advanced. Apple just added support in their most recent version of iPhoto. Haven't tested it. Hopefully it is much easier than this. It does take me some extra time to work, like, you know, to put batteries in this, make sure it's on, make sure it's receiving a signal, and then, you know, the extra step of having to link the photos on the computer. I don't do it all the time. It's not always on. I only use it like on a trip, like on the cruise trip or trip to New York City. You know, whenever I go on like a day or an overnight trip is when I use it, but I certainly don't use it for regular things. And if you don't want to go through the trouble of putting using a geotagger, you can actually in Flickr put photos manually on the map, and in Jet Photo Studio you can put photos on the map manually, and not as automatic, but you know, it's definitely cool. And I'm just drawn, I guess, to this attraction of having the photo geolocated and being able to show like a map of the entire trip, both the trail and little dots where each photo was taken. You know, it's one way of organizing your photos. You might want to do albums or sets. You may want to give them titles. You may want to give them tags. I happen to like using geolocation as well as sets to organize my photos. I'm Michael Plasmeier, and this has been Tecker 911, episode 85, Geotagging Your Photos.
To watch this episode again, or to watch any of our prior episodes, you can visit our website, 911.tecker.net, T-E-C-K-E-R. And on the website we have our prior episodes, as well as you can view them directly on the website, or you can download them in WMV for Windows, iPod or QuickTime format for your iPod, or if you have iTunes installed, an MP3 audio-only version of the show, and a WMV HD version of the show, which you can download via BitTorrent, that looks really, really clear and in pristine HD quality. And instructions for downloading via BitTorrent are also on the site. On the right-hand side, we have more information about us and about each of the members of the show. as well as quick links to all of our prior episodes and links to the RSS feeds for each of the formats that we release the show in, and links to subscribe to the show in iTunes if you have an iPod, an Apple TV, an iPhone, any Apple device. You can click on that link in either video or audio format. You can also in iTunes search for Tecker, T-E-C-K-E-R, in the iTunes store, and then you can find our podcast that you can subscribe to free. Also, if you do not have an iPod, if you have like a generic MP3 player, then you can use you can still listen to our show if on our website you subscribe to this MP3 audio version in a feed catcher, in a podcatcher like Juice. You can search for Juice on Google, download that program, and then it'll load the shows automatically onto your generic MP3 playing device. If you have any questions about the show or about technology, you can send us an email at 911@tecker.net, or you can leave us a voicemail at 610-572-2847. Thank you so much for watching Tecker 911.